Mr. Moore, you came to court today to prove you are the biological father of 4-year-old Aliana. You and your current girlfriend claim the defendant has played on your emotions for 4 years and has allowed another man to raise your little girl. You are desperate to put the defendant's doubt to rest so you can finally be in your daughter's life. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Scott, you say you are positive Mr. Moore is not your daughter's biological father. Once the test proves you right, you want Mr. Moore to leave you and your child alone. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so Mr. Moore, you say you've always believed Allie is your daughter. Tell me why.
Yes, Your Honor. I've never seen my child a day in my life.
You've never seen her?
A day in my life.
But you're convinced she's your daughter.
Yes, Your Honor.
So why hasn't he seen her? If he feels that way, why hasn't he tried to see her?
I've tried to see her, Your Honor. She blocked me all sources of contact. She even changed her number. I tried to reach out to her on social media. I couldn't even get through on that.
So you have reached out?
Yes, Your Honor.
Through social media? And tried her phone number, but she changed her number?
Never
Yes,
about seeing her, never. He only thing he ever said was, that's my child, that's my child. Never about seeing her, that's not your kid, so you have never tried to see her ever, and I don't mind because that's not his kid.
So why do you believe she's denying you're the father? Why?
Because she had sex with another guy at the time.
Well, that's reason to doubt, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
But not deny. That's what you're saying.
Yes, Your Honor.
It still remains that you are a possibility.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So now, what was the nature of your relationship, Ms. Scott?
We met on a dating site. He was kind of like an escape plan for something that I was going through. So
An
I wanted
escape
to,
plan?
Yeah.
Escape plan.
So I
was
wanted
more
to
than
get
an
away.
escape plan.
I wanted
I
to
was
get
your
away from
boyfriend.
that. I wanted to get away from that. So, I kind of led him on. I wasn't trying to pursue nothing, be no family or anything with this man. We met together. He asked me to move in with him. I moved in with him. We maybe stayed together maybe a month, and I left.
And when was this?
That was in July of 2013.
In July.
Mm-hmm.
Your Honor,
Okay.
we had sex the first night I met her.
We so did not. We did not. We did not. It was not the first night. It was early, but it wasn't the first night.
But when you did have sex, Ms. Scott, did you use protection?
No, it wasn't protected.
Okay. So you moved in for a month.
Right.
Were you faithful during that month, or you all were only seeing one another?
I was currently in a relationship when I met him originally.
When you moved in with him?
Right.
So why would you do that?
Because he was my escape plan. He was my dummy, basically.
Well, all right. Well, I want you to be honest, but I think you might have just taken it too far.
This was my first love, Your Honor. I cared about her.
You did.
Yes, Your
So your feelings were genuine.
Yes, Your
So when she said she would move in, you thought she cared about you as well.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you thought you guys were gonna be a couple.
Yes, Your Honor.
What happened once she moved in?
Once we moved in, we just kind of, we was hanging out and, talking and, I was kind of, playing the role as if I wanted a relationship with him. And, we had, during that time of us living together, we had sex a few times.
Just a few times.
She
Yeah,
left with
a few
another
times.
man, Your Honor.
She left with another man?
Yes,
Which was
Your
the
Honor.
man that I was in a relationship with, which is my child's father.
So what happened when you found out you were pregnant?
I found out I was pregnant September 2013. I was going to the clinic for, my monthly women's exam. And they came in and said, Miss Scott, you're pregnant. And
Your Honor,
I told
she
my daughter's
called me and
father
told me
that
she
we were
was
gonna
pregnant.
have a baby. I never told Mr. Moore that we were gonna have a baby together. I never told him that.
Your Honor, she called me and told me she was pregnant.
She did.
Yes, Your
Never,
Honor.
never.
And how far along was she when she called to tell you?
She was a couple of weeks, about 3 to 4 weeks, she said.
3 to 4 weeks. And your response was?
I might be the possible father because I was having sex with her unprotected multiple times. And at the time, she was messing with the other guy. But she kept telling me, oh, you're not the father, but I know I'm the
Right, because
father.
he's not. And I wasn't 3 to 4
Did
weeks when I
you
told him.
ask her to be involved in the pregnancy? Did you say, I'd like to support you through this? I want to come to the doctor. I want to see my baby be born.
Nope, none of that.
Yes, Your Honor, I
None of
tried
that.
to.
Her dad, he was the one that was there. He went to appointments, every single appointment, and he took me there, took me home. He was supportive the whole
Did you
entire
tell him
pregnancy.
he was the only possible father, or did you tell him Mr. Moore could also be the biological father?
I told him he was the daddy.
She
He
told
was
me
the
I
daddy.
didn't need
No
to
other
worry
daddy.
about it, Your Honor.
He was the daddy.
So, is he on Aliana's
Your
birth
Honor.
certificate, your boyfriend?
He is mentioned on all of her hospital paperwork, and she has his last name.
She said I
And
was the
he's
father,
listed
Your
as
Honor.
father on the birth
Right,
certificate?
yes.
So, the court was able to get a hold of her birth certificate. Under child's name, it reads Aliana Janelle, and then for father's name, there's no name listed.
Right, but they allowed me to give my daughter her dad's name, even though his name isn't on there because he physically wasn't there.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. So, Miss Scott, what I don't understand is if you admittedly carried on this affair, this relationship with Mr. Moore,
It
you
wasn't-
moved
it didn't
in with him,
carry
you
on.
said July or August.
It was only a month. It lasted one
But
month.
you know it only takes one time
Yeah,
to get
I mean,
pregnant.
yeah,
So what
but-
I don't understand, no, I mean it does. You know that. You know that. What I'm trying to understand is why you automatically discount him like.
Because at the time when I found out, I was already 2 months pregnant. I messed around with Mr. Moore a couple times in a month's time frame. I was 2 months pregnant when I found out I was pregnant.
So when you found out you were pregnant, they said you were 8 weeks along.
Right.
And you had just been intimate with Mr. Moore
in
within
August,
the
I
month.
found out in September, yes, in August.
I want to understand this. Hold on. Let me get my conception calculator. So when was Aliana born?
April 25th.
April 25th, okay? If I hit calculate, the window of conception is July 28th to August 3rd. And you claim you were in a relationship with Mr. Moore in July.
We had sex, Your Honor, in July and August.
Not from my remembrance, no. It happened in August.
But you met Mr. Moore in July.
Yeah, we met
But
in July.
online.
Right.
You hadn't met in person yet.
No.
Until
August. No, until July. We moved in together in August. We had sex together in August.
after you moved in with him.
Right. We didn't have sex when we first met each other.
And he's saying, okay, and this is where the testimony differs significantly, because you say you had sex with her the first day you met her.
Yes,
Which
Your
he's
Honor.
wrong. He's wrong. We didn't have sex the first day we met. We had sex after we had moved in together in August.
Gotcha. So you're saying you were already pregnant
Right.
from the other guy when you moved in with Mr. Moore.
I was, but I didn't know. I didn't find out until September.
Okay.
But when I went and got the test done, and they told me how far along I was, and then that's when I figured out that at the time of me and Mr. Moore having sex together, I was already pregnant because I was 2 months pregnant.
This is what baffles me. I mean, two young people who can stand up here and articulate with great detail everything about a sexual relationship, but in 4 years, you haven't been able to communicate
Because
in
he's
any
not
way
the
about
dad.
this baby.
He's not the dad. I
about
don't wanna talk.
even to get the DNA test done. You've never met the child.
Never.
Your Honor, can I speak? My thing about it was how I heard of Adriana, and this is why I say he's the father, because when me and Mr. Moore first got together, like 2 months after we had gotten together, I had posted Duntavius on social media. And Miss Scott here, she commented on there, was like, I hope you got money for baby wipes and food and pampers
Never
and
did that.
stuff
Never.
like that.
Never. Why would I do that? He not her daddy.
And then on top of that, right after when I had our son together in 2016, Mr. Moore had posted my son on social media. Miss Scott, she took it out of her own perspective and put my baby and her daughter in a collage and sent it to Mr. Moore and was like, we need to get a DNA test done.
Really?
Never
So
did
yeah,
that.
she did that.
Never did that. I never did that.
And photos of your son and Miss Scott's daughter was submitted to the court. And on the left side is Mr. Moore's other child with you, Ms. Williams.
Yes.
And on the right side is Aliana.
They don't look alike. His baby looks like him. My daughter looks like me, and she resembles her dad.
She looks like me. She got the same pointy ears just like I do.
Pointy ears. A lot of people have pointy ears. Her dad has pointy ears.
And she has the same forehead as resembles mine.
Child, this big old forehead on my head. Got my head, my forehead, look like me, my child.
They were supposed to do a DNA test when we stayed in Arkansas back here in 2015, but it never got done. They were communicating at one point, then they would stop.
Because he kept saying that he was her dad. If you her daddy, take a test.
So you were open to the DNA test because you knew he wasn't the biological father.
Your Honor, she
Never
told me
denied
don't
a
even
test.
worry about her.
So when you said, fine, let's do the DNA, she's not your child, why didn't you ever get it done? She's 4.
He didn't make no effort. If you feel like she yours, even though she's not, which I know, come on, let's go
No,
take a
Your
test.
Honor, that is not what
So I
happened.
can prove to you that she's
every
not.
time he prepared to do it, she always informed him that her daughter was with her family member and all of this.
So
and
you
this.
feel like she was trying to avoid the
Yeah,
testing.
that was my perspective. And like before she commented and posted, he never spoke of her any form of
I'm
fashion
not
away.
gonna comment and post
And he
and
never
ask no man
mentioned
for
I have a
nothing.
baby with my
No,
first love.
he never said nothing about a
Oh.
baby, nothing.
Cause he's not the daddy.
And then I asked him, I said, are you, when I went to him and I asked him about her, he was like, oh, she was messing around with someone else. And, you know, it's a possibility, but I don't know. That's what he was saying. It was
So he
a
done told
possibility.
her all this. She's 4.
So
Why
the-
we just not here at 4 years?
So, exactly.
She done told him all this. It's 4 years later.
Because you
If
didn't
you
want
felt
me to.
that way,
She didn't
why
want
didn't
him
it
to.
happen?
It
It didn't happen on my end because he not the daddy, but I never denied him of taking no test.
And why are you so upset, Miss Scott?
Because it's 4 years later. 4.
And that makes you feel like what?
Like like I just said, if you felt that way, you and your girlfriend, why are we just not here? Why we didn't been take a test?
You
She's
yes,
4.
he did. I'm there. I was there.
And you feel like now...
I raised her. You ain't sent no money. You ain't sent no clothes, no shoes. Ask what size she wear. None of that. A real man would have said, okay, even though you denying that I am her dad, I believe she is. Let me send her some things. Let me send money for this. Let me send money for that. I probably would have said, we don't need it because you're not the dad, but that was never made. Those type of efforts were never made.
Because she stopped me from not being there for 4 years. She's blocked me out completely. And if she's 4 and now...
And you don't know her.
No, if she's
So
4...
it's your testimony today that you are going to be there for, support, and take care of a child who's 4 years old, whom you've never met, and the mother has moved on.
I know she's mine.
You know she's yours.
I know she's mine.
And Miss Scott, she's 4. Does she call anybody daddy?
Yes.
She has a father figure in her life.
Yes, she calls the man
That
whose last
man.
name she has, the man whose last name she has,
Is
she
dad.
calls him dad, yes. And then,
And have you thought about what if Mr. Moore is her biological father? Where do we go from here?
I have.
You have thought about it.
Right, I
and
have.
what was your answer?
If a test, which it shouldn't, there's no way a test should say that he is the dad, but if it does, then, hey, we will make efforts to have some type of relationship built with them too. Because it's not for me, it's
Right.
for her.
Good. Jerome, the envelope, please.
There you go.
These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics and they read as follows. In the case of Moore versus Scott, when it comes to 4-year-old Aliana, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Moore, you are the father. You are the father, Mr. Moore. That's your little girl.
That's 4 years I've missed out, but I'll make it up to her. I promise.
Miss Scott? What are you feeling right now?
I feel bad that to know that that is his child, she has not known him for 4 years. And I'm 23 years old, I've never had my dad. I always said if I ever had children, I wanted to always make sure my children had their biological daddy, and whether that man and I were together or not, to be in their lives. And now I feel like it's my fault because it's been 4 years. And I feel like I've wronged my daughter 4 years with him.
Ms. Polzin, you've summoned Mr. Callender to court in hopes of salvaging what is left of your relationship. You say he denies your daughter Zoe, but today you intend to prove paternity. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Callender, you say you love Zoe and have created a bond with her, but Ms. Polzin has a cheating past, and that is why you are convinced you aren't Zoe's father. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Polzin, what is the current nature of your relationship with the defendant?
We've been on again, off again, Your Honor. And the end of most of our arguments is he likes to throw that in my face, whether Zoe's his or not. And Anthony knows that that's his daughter, without a doubt.
But, Mr. Callender, you do question it.
Yes, ma'am. It's like a dark cloud hovering over us. Keeping us, I think it's preventing us from moving forward. Just the uncertainty, not knowing 100% that I'm her father.
Do you feel that dark cloud?
Yes, Your Honor, and it needs to come to a stop.
Specifically, how is it affecting you and your relationship with Mr. Callender?
It keeps us in constant turmoil and constant fussing and fighting over it, and I'm just ready for it to be clarified and for it to be done.
So how did you meet?
We originally met when we were younger, and we had a relationship, and we went our separate ways, and I've gotten long-term relationships, and my last long-term relationship, we were having hard times towards the end of it. It was about 9 years, and he hit me up on Facebook, Mr. Callender did, and we just started talking, rekindling our love again, and we started seeing each other again.
Did you know she was in another relationship when you pursued her?
I did, but she said they were separated, living in different rooms, and she was in the process of moving her things out of the residence.
So you thought this relationship was pretty much over?
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor.
Did you have to sneak around, though?
She would come see me on lunch breaks, and, after she got off work.
Your Honor, I was not trying to be disrespectful to a man that I'd been with. He knew it was over. We were both doing our own thing, and I wasn't trying to flaunt my new relationship in front of him.
So you were sneaking around at lunchtime and after work?
Right.
Pretty much. So you all started this relationship even though you weren't quite finished with the last one.
Correct.
How soon after you officially start getting into a relationship with Ms. Polzin do you find out she's pregnant, Mr. Callender?
Well, it was about a week after she had moved into her apartment after getting most of her things out of the residence.
A week?
But I was only having sexual contact with Mr. Callender. Me and my ex were living in separate rooms. We had a lot of assets together, and we were living in separate rooms. There was a lot of things to work out between that relationship.
So she finally gets out from this relationship with the ex, and a week later, she says to you, I'm pregnant.
Exactly.
What are you thinking when she says that, Mr. Callender?
I'm not at the residence with them while she's staying there, so I have no idea what they're doing. I can only go based on what she's telling me. What she's telling me, she's staying in a different room, but I'm not there. How do I know they're not in the same bedroom?
So did your spidey sense go up? What?
After she moved out, next thing you know, he shows up with soup and a teddy bear because she's sick. But how did he know that she was sick if they haven't been communicating?
Soup and a teddy bear?
He would bring me flowers to work and left a soup and a teddy bear on my front porch.
But this is a man that you were allegedly not sleeping with.
Right.
Bringing soups and teddy bears when you don't feel well.
I know that doesn't sound right.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
It definitely doesn't sound like it was completely over.
It was. He was trying to hang on to something that wasn't there.
So how did you find out about the soup and the teddy bear, Mr. Callender?
I was going through her phone looking for a number that I dialed from her phone, and I'd seen that his number was in there, and just out of curiosity, I clicked on it, and it said they had had conversations for 30 minutes, another one for an hour, and I asked her about it, what they had been talking about, and she said, oh, it was just, he was wanting to know if she wanted to get a few more things from the residence that she had left behind, and wanted the couch. And I was like, well, why does it take an hour conversation to decide if you want a couch or not?
Right. And you never knew. It wasn't like she was having these conversations in front of you.
Yeah.
When she got the soup and the teddy bear, did she come home and say, honey, guess what my ex did with his crazy self?
No, actually, it come up a year or two later. She got mad at me and was like, well, at least he cared enough to bring me soups and stuff or teddy bears. You never done this type of stuff for me. And just throw it in my face, and I'm like, really?
It never fails. The arguments are when it always comes out, right, Jerome?
Yep, I like soup.
So take me to the birth. When Zoe was born, were you there, Mr. Callender?
Yes, Your Honor.
You participated?
Yes, Your Honor.
Showed up for the birth?
That and mostly every doctor visit.
Every doctor's visit. So even though you were doubtful, you still participated?
Yes, Your Honor.
Because you wanted to be there?
I wanted to be there for the baby and for Rachel.
Okay. And so when she was born, did you sign her birth certificate?
They wouldn't allow me to. It was like a kick to the chest.
And so then your doubts started spinning?
Yes. And a week or two after that, she was in contact with her ex, and he made the question, could it be mine?
Oh, the ex said, could it be mine?
Yes. And
Now, how did you find this out?
I was standing around when he had made the call and was just listening in, and I heard her say, is there a chance it's mine? But according to Rachel, they hadn't had any kind of sexual contact for 3 or 4 months before we had started seeing each other. So
why would he ask that then?
that's another one of the reasons why I have the doubts.
But if you do the math, we were in North Carolina in December, and she was born in September.
Oh, shouldn't he be able to do the math too?
But Miss Polzin, I mean, when another man calls you on your phone to just say, well, let me just ask you this, could she be mine? That means there's some part of this math, some factor in this equation that we're missing. That sounds like he feels like he could have been sexually active with you during the window of time the baby was conceived. Because why would he ask?
I think he was doing that just to get a rise out of me because, like I said, once he learned of my new relationship.
That could make sense that he'd be calling to try to hurt you, but he's bringing teddy bears and soups and you talking on the phone with him for 30 minutes and an hour. So that doesn't add up. If somebody's trying to hurt you, you don't sit on the phone with them for 30 minutes or an hour.
Right, but that was before I'd learned I was pregnant.
But he had made the comment before, as you were getting the last few things out of your house, he had made the comment, you said that he would ask for one last shebang.
Oh, really?
Yes, he did.
But you declined?
No, of course I declined. I had been over that relationship for a very long time, and I had only been sexually active with Mr. Callender. And he knows that.
I think if he knew that, he wouldn't be here. Mr. Callender, you brought a witness. I'd like to hear from her. Ma'am, please stand. Step over to the podium. State your name for the court.
Karen Allen.
Miss Allen, what relationship are you to Mr. Callender?
I'm his mother.
You are his mother?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you know about the paternity surrounding baby Zoe? Do you believe your son is her biological father?
I hope and pray that he is. We have a very strong bond.
And I can see how emotional that makes you.
Yes, ma'am.
You love the baby?
Yes, ma'am. This relationship started with a hot mess. It was a hot mess when it started. Only gotten worse through the years. And the squabbling back and forth. I don't want Zoe to hear, you may not be my child, or this may not be my child.
Right. Yes. And she's at an age where she could hear that.
Yes,
And possibly even be able to understand
she will. She would understand.
exactly what someone's saying.
Absolutely. And between the arguing they do, it could be said and them not realize that she is in hearing distance. And that would break my heart for her to hear that.
So, Ms. Allen, do you believe this relationship can withstand the realization that Zoe is not your son's biological child?
I don't believe it would.
So you believe if she's not his, this relationship is over?
Yes, ma'am.
So that means there is a lot at stake.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Ms. Polzin, you say you are sure Mr. Callender is your child's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor. I have an exhibit.
You have an exhibit
Yes.
you brought?
Yes.
Please step over and show the court what you brought.
These are reasons why I believe that Mr. Callender is the father. Him and Zoe both have the same attitude. They are very particular about things, such as the way they like their foods and things like that. And if they don't get their way, they'll throw a fit till they get what they want. And I do not act like that at all.
Same temperament.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. No protection. When we were together and having sexual relations, we did not use protection. The tan skin, I am obviously very pale, and she has a tan. Zoe looks just like him. You can't deny that. The tan skin, the dark hair. And then this is Mr. Callender as a baby, and this is Zoe. It's identical. It's identical. You cannot deny her. Looks just like him.
So, Mom, Ms. Allen, when you look at this side by side, do you see a resemblance? Do you see this incredible resemblance that Ms. Polzin says she sees?
I wish I did. I believe Zoe looks just like her mother. And Zoe is tanned, but we do a lot of outside playing. Children tan.
Thank you so much, Ms. Polzin. You may step back to the plaintiff's podium. Reason why I asked Mom, because a lot of time moms know, Grandma has that supernatural spidey sense.
I believe that the temperament is a learned behavior. He's spoiled. I did that, and I'm around Zoe. And
You say
I
you
take the
spoiled her.
blame. I take the blame for what I've done.
No protection. She was with the guy. I'm sure they didn't use protection either. Tan skin, I mean, everybody, I'm not the only person on the planet that has tan skin. You know, the guy, he's got a little tan himself. So.
And Zoe doesn't have the black hair.
And I can see this is really affecting you both. Like, you don't know. I can look at both of you and see this really troubles you because you have very real doubts.
Yes, ma'am.
With that said, I think we've heard enough testimony, and it's time for the results. Jerome? These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Polzin versus Callender, when it comes to Zoe Callender, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Callender, you are the father. Oh, geez. You are the father. And I'm so happy I could give you the result all of you so desperately wanted. And now we can figure out where to go from here.
I want his name put on the birth certificate.
Not just about being on that birth certificate, that is important, but it's also about being a consistent and supportive dad in her life, right? And so now that we have no more doubt, what are we gonna do with this relationship?
Definitely work on it and move forward to the next steps.
Good. She can know that she has the love of both parents, her grandparents. She deserves to have her village. Every child does.